Okay, we will call this town council meeting February the 8th to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the lands of the Mi'kmaq. Let's stand for the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Okay, so record of attendance, everyone's here. Councillor Bell Hatfield is here virtually. Go ahead, Councillor.
No,
Theirs?
next thing on the agenda.
Okay. That's some declarations of conflict of interest.
Yes, and I'll be leaving the table for the discussion during 9A and 10C. Thank you.
Okay. Approval of agenda. So, go ahead.
Yeah, Your Worship, I goofed. The Deputy Mayor had sent me an email requesting African Heritage Month be on the agenda, and so that's my bad. And so if we could add that under new business.
So we put it under 11C, under new business. So we'll do that. Okay. So motion to approve the agenda, please. Okay, Councillor Dare, second by Councillor Lesser. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, approval of minutes. Town Council, January 11th, 2024.
So moved.
Councillor Lesser, seconded by Councillor Cleveland. Discussion on this one? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Committee of the Whole, January 25th. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Special Town Council, January 25th. Councillor Dares, second by the Deputy. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Okay, so we have public hearings this evening. This is how this works. So what happens is I will read the item and I'll ask 3 times if anybody in the audience would like to speak. And if you wish to speak to that item, you come up to the microphone, tell us your name and where you live, and you can share your thoughts. And then this is not for council to discuss right now. We just bring this back later on the agenda and make the decision from there. So this is to hear from the public. So 9A, this is 107 Main Street, MPS and LUB Amendments and Development Agreement. And the motion there is to amend the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw as outlined in this report and enter into a development agreement with the owners of 107 Main Street, PID 901-97500, to accommodate accessory buildings within a abutting yard setback area shared with a residential zone. Okay, so would anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Anyone want to speak to 107 Main? And I'll ask one more time, would anyone like to speak to this one? Okay, hearing no one, it is on the agenda later. Okay, 9B, 55 Green Street rezoning The motion there is to amend the land use bylaw to rezone 55 Green Street, PID 902-11293 from low-density residential R1 zone to medium-density residential R2 zone. We did get one letter on this one, I believe. Yep, it's attached. So, I say it's attached. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, no, I see it. It just wouldn't click. It wouldn't click. So, yeah, with regard to that one that's attached, maybe just a little bit of confusion because we are asking to add density as opposed to anything else.
I think she's got it backwards.
Yeah, I think it was just, so, okay, would anyone like to speak to this one? Okay, with regard to 55 Green Street, asking for the second time, would anyone like to speak to this one? And a third time, would anyone like to speak to this issue? Okay, so hearing none, that is later in the agenda as well. And then we have 9C, 1 and 3 Kirk Street Development Agreement. The motion there is to enter into a new development agreement, attachment 2, with the owner of 1 and 3 Kirk Street, which is PID number 902-08869, to 1, effectively consolidate an existing development agreement and subsequent amendment, which is attachment 3, into a single document. Number 2, to allow for additional dwelling unit within an existing 12-unit residential building known as 1 Kirk Street. And 3, update on-site motor vehicle parking requirements to align them with the current parking rules of the Town of Yarmouth Land Use Bylaw. At the request of owner of 1 and 3 Kirk Street, which is PID 902-8869, approve the proposed discharging agreement, which is attachment 4, and approve the proposed land use bylaw amendment to rezone 0.02 hectares, plus or minus 0.05 acres, plus or minus, of land known as 1 and 3 Kirk Street, northeast portion PID of 902-08869, from median density residential R2 zone to commercial downtown C1 zone as shown in attachment 5. Could we have turns repeating that? Sorry. Would anyone like to speak to this one? Okay. Would anyone like to speak to Kirk Street? And I'll ask for a last time. Would anyone in the audience like to speak to Kirk Street? Okay. We have no one, and we didn't have any correspondence on that one either. So this is coming up on the agenda. Okay. Thank you. So business arising, 10A, marketing levy bylaw. The recommended motion there is that council pass second reading to repeal the marketing promotions levy bylaw of January 1st, 2007 and replace with the marketing levy bylaw that is attached. Okay? Moved by Councillor Lesser, second by Councillor Heather. Discussion on this one? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Is that what you were here for?
In case there was any questions or...
Oh, okay. Because if you had wanted to speak, you would have waved, right? Not that we do that, but we would have. Okay. All right. So that one's passed. 10B, Fire Department bylaw amendments. The recommended motion there is that council pass second reading to amend the Fire Department bylaw. Councillor Heather, second by Councillor Lesser. Discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you for coming in. It was fast and furious, but we do our homework first. That's what makes it go so smoothly. 10C, So MPS now UB Amendments and Development Agreement for 107 Main Street. The recommended motion there. So this is from what we just did at the public hearing. The council passed second reading to A, amend the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw as outlined in this report, and B, enter into a development agreement with the owners of 107 Main Street, PID 901-97500, to accommodate accessory buildings within a budding yard setback area shared with a residential zone. Okay, moved by Councillor Lesser, second by the Deputy Mayor. Do we have any questions on this one? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Which means you don't have to stay. I just want to, some people stay. You can stay all night. We don't have popcorn for you, but you can. Okay, because some people say, I could have left an hour ago. No, you can't. Okay. Good job. Okay. 10D, so 55 Green Street from the previous. Rezoning, recommended motions that council approve second reading to amend the land use bylaw to rezone 55 Green Street, PID 902-11293, from low-density residential R1 zone to medium-density residential R2 zone.
Make the motion.
Okay, Councillor Cleveland, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Are you aye, Bell? I've got a screen here with Councillor Bell. Sometimes it's a little late. Once in a while it just goes like a split second. Okay, all those in favor, I said yes.
Yeah.
Okay, motion carried. And then 10E, 1 and 3 Kirk Street, so the recommended motion, which I'll read again. Council passed second reading to A, enter into a development agreement with the owner of 1 and 3 Kirk Street to effectively consolidate an existing development agreement and subsequent amendment into a single document. B, allow for an additional dwelling unit within an existing 12-unit residential building known as 1 Kirk Street. And C, update on-site motor vehicle parking requirements to align them with the current parking rules of the Town of Yarmouth Land Use Bylaw. B is at the request of the owner of 1 and 3 Kirk Street, again, PID 902-08869, approve the proposed discharging agreement. And C, approve the proposed land use bylaw amendment to rezone the 0.02 hectares, 0.05 acres of land known as 1 and 3 Kirk Street, which is the northeast portion of that PID, from medium density residential R2 zone to commercial downtown C1 zone as shown in attachment 5.
Could you
Okay,
repeat that?
I can repeat that. All those in favor of me repeating it? Okay, thank you, Councillor Cleveland, seconded by Councillor Heather. Any discussion, concerns, anything? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thanks, folks. Okay, so the capital budget is 10F, and the recommended motion, and we have had 2 meetings on the capital budget previous to it coming to this point. So the recommended motion is that council approve the 2024-25 capital budget as presented. Okay, Councillor Lesser, seconded by Councillor Heather. Any discussion? Questions, anything? Good to go? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, capital budget, new business, solid waste resource. Recommended motion there is that council pass first reading to amend the solid waste resource bylaw to only allow 1 non-transparent privacy bag within a clear garbage bag. Councillor Heather? Seconded by Councillor Lesser. Any discussion there? Go ahead, Councillor Dares.
Yeah, and just to clarify that for those that have special needs and they have a requirement for some privacy, they're allowed to put out a black bag with the consent of Waste Check. So what happens is that Waste Check will notify the hauler, and they'll flag that address, and they'll pick up if there's a need. So it's not, it does provide for those people that require that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? You can turn your light too. Thanks. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And our communications does a lot of stuff on that, the output. March Town Council date change. I'm just trying to think of what the motion, oh, yes. That we hold both the Committee of the Whole and the council meeting on March 21st. Okay, moved by Councillor Heather, seconded by Councillor Lesser. Any discussion? And I know they're laughing at me because I was trying to remember the dates, but the idea of the reason we do council and committee of the whole is that we do committee of the whole, which I always wish were televised because they're best. They're long meetings with everything in it, all the details, all the discussion, and then we bring stuff to council either to ratify or for further clarification, more questions, that type of thing. So when we do it this way on the same day, we won't be doing the committee of the whole and then ratifying at council. We will give it enough time for us to ask any more questions and solid in our minds. Okay. So anything else? Was that right? Sort of right. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. And then 11C. Go ahead, Deputy.
I'd like to make a motion that council fund up to $500 for an African Heritage Month celebration.
Go ahead.
On February 27th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the YCMHS cafeteria, Chuck Smith has agreed to come in and talk about the Black Battalion, the wonderful monument that was put in September. We are also partnering with the Tri-County Regional Center for Education, and there'll be some students there to read poems and share some history, some artwork, and hopefully have a great night of celebrating African Heritage Month. So really happy to put this one forward and invite the community into the school to come enjoy a night of history and show the importance of African heritage.
Sounds good. Okay. Any more discussion or questions? Okay, if we're going to do this every year, we can get that on grants. We do it every year. We can get it on grants. Maybe, however, yeah. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, council advisory committees. That's you, Deputy.
I recommend a motion that council adopt section 1 to 4 of the new personnel policy.
Okay, so moved, seconded by Councillor Lesser. Discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
I recommend a motion that council refer the installation of signage at the major entrances to the town of Yarmouth welcoming visitors to budget.
Okay, second by Councillor Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
I recommend a motion that council send a letter to the minister asking for a concrete timeline for the Yarmouth Hospital Emergency Department expansion.
Second by Councillor Cleveland. Discussion? We already discussed the, what that letter would look like. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council direct staff to review the relevant bylaws pertaining to busking and review the locations where performers and are permitted to have small amplifiers complying with the noise bylaw.
Seconded by Councillor Cleveland. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
I recommend a motion that council amend the Citizen Advisory Committee's policy to include provisions for the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee.
Council amend the citizen advisory policy. Yes, I saw it. I read that last week. Okay, seconded by Councillor Heather. Any discussion on this one? Go ahead.
This is just to kind of coincide with a new hire that we were recently had. I think it's great that we have someone on staff that now oversees this, and it's nice to see that there'll be a Citizen Advisory Committee to help move things along.
All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion, the council directs staff to investigate potential safety issues arising from parking on Main Street at the corners of Ellis Street and Chester Street.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion that council repeal the telework, work from home policy.
Second by Councillor Lesser. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion that council approve the demolition of the dangerous building located at Civic 5 Horton Street, Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, PID 90194697, as the building has deteriorated.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
I just think it's quite clear to anyone who's seen it, it's probably,
Yeah.
it's a risk as is, and, you know, if it came down, besides the eyesore, the safety issue, I think it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion that council amend the taxi bylaw to 1, increase the taxi rates by $1, including HST, to A, from 6 a.m. to midnight to $10, HST included, and B, midnight to 6 a.m. to $11, HST included. 2, to remove the fare rate charges for additional passengers. 3, add a $5 out-of-town charge for package delivery plus the regular fare rate. 4, increase the fee for waiting instructions of a customer after the first 5 minutes to $60 per hour or $1 per minute plus the regular fare rate. And 5, add definitions for fare and a stop to Section 1 definitions of the taxi bylaw.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Heather. Discussion on this one? We did have some questions, I think they got answered, so, yep, okay. We're good. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommended motion that council change the March Committee of the Whole meeting from March 28th to March 21st, 2023.
And, huh?
We have to reject that one, don't we?
Because of our earlier
Yeah,
discussion.
We've already done that.
So the motion would be the council hold both the,
On the same day.
oh, we did that here. I thought we did
Yeah.
it committee of the whole. My apologies. Yeah, sorry.
So do we vote on it?
No.
And reject it?
So
Or
do
we
we
just-
rescind? Withdraw the motion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Recommended motion that council purchase a table for an evening with the Mariners on February 23rd, 2023.
2024.
Oops, sorry, 2024, yeah.
Don't apologize. Of course, when you're my age, you want to go back a year. Okay. Who seconded that? Councillor Lesser? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
A recommended motion that council send a letter to Yarmouth Environmental Think Tank responding to their correspondence.
Seconded by Councillor Cleveland. Discussion on this one? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, citizen advisory, so we didn't have the planning, so you're good, Counselor Cleveland. Accessibility advisory, Counselor Dares, you want to take that?
There was a request from a member of the public to designate the parking space in front of Centertown Square for consideration to modify that to an accessible parking spot. And so the motion will be to direct staff to assess that.
Okay. Do we need some different wording on this one? Go ahead. We just want to make sure.
Yeah, you can approve the motion as it's presented. What's likely to happen, I know when requests come forward for very specific requests around parking or loading zones, the manager of Public Works tends to take a broader view of the adequacy of spots. But if there was a particular reason why that spot, I think that'd be important to know. So perhaps if the motion passes, if the chairman would speak with the manager of Public Works to share any additional information for context, I think that'd be helpful.
I can share what I know, and only that it would provide better access to the drugstore. And that was, I think, the consideration.
Okay.
But I will speak to the manager. Thank you.
Okay, so, do I have a seconder? Yeah, seconded by the deputy mayor. Did you have a question, or did you, you just said, okay, any discussion?
If I could,
Yes.
when I read this again, it says Centertown Square, and I believe the parking spot they were considering was the one in front of Greco Pizza, which is not Centertown Square. Pardon?
It's the same, I think it's the same one.
In front of Centertown? Oh, okay, yep.
So is there one across, where's the closest? Not that it matters, they're going to do the work, but where's the closest one to? Is there not one on? Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I was just asking because they were saying across the street.
And I will clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Your Worship,
Yes,
there is a handicap spot, I believe, on the south side of John Street, I think.
so I think there is too, so it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And Waterfront Advisory, Deputy Mayor.
Recommended motion that council direct staff to reduce the speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour on Water Street between Store and Forest Street.
Okay? Seconded by Councilor Lesser, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that I believe the recommendation should have read to ask staff to investigate or consider. Oh, we already did. He recommended to do it. I'm sorry. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. So it was supported by staff. So
Okay? Did we second that one? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. What, wait a second. Are we directing staff to look at this? And what did they say? They said okay? Okay. Nay. What? Yes, I remember that now. Yeah, see, I'm looking at the direct staff. Okay, doesn't matter, it's gone. Okay. Question for committee chair. Any questions for committee chairs? Good, all right. Approval of invoices. Councilor Lesser? Deputy Mayor, oh, Councilor Bell. Sorry, Deputy Mayor, you're out. Councilor Bell's in. She's been here all night. Give me her, yes. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And do you have anything in camera? Okay. So a motion to adjourn, please. All righty. And we have a water utility.